Okay, and we are almost done with our review. We are picking up with lesson 4 from module 12. We already talked about vertices. That was a real easy skill, just finding that fourth vertex. But now we need to do something with the vertices, and we're going to focus on finding the distance between vertices, okay, the distance between the points, and we're going to use those distances so that we can turn around and find the perimeter and the area of four-sided shapes like rectangles and squares. So for this first one, you're given a grid, and it says to find the area of the rectangle. All right, now we know that the area formula is length times width. And since you're given the grid, you could go ahead and just count this out. But again, you always have to watch out for your increments. But I'm going to show you on the grid, and then I'm going to show you how to do it without the grid. So let's pick one of these sides to be our length. Let's go from E to F, and let's call this the length. So if we're going to count over 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares, 4 squares, 5, and then you've got something right here in the middle. So this is actually 5.5. So our length is 5.5. Our width is going to be the side that's perpendicular to the length. And you notice that you've got a half of a square right here, and then you've got a full square, another full square, full square, full square, and another half. So we have 4 full squares and 2 halves. Add those two together, you end up with 5, a width of 5. So 5.5 times 5. And if you do that correctly, if you're able to read that grid correctly, 5.5 times 5 is going to give you an area of 27.5 square units. Now there's a way to do this without the grid, okay? We need to look at the points, and we need to picture, I would still draw a sketch of this rectangle, and I would label it EF, G, H, and think to yourself, all right, I need the area. So in order to find the area, I need 2 sides. I need a length and a width. I need the distance between E and F, and I need the distance between F and G. Those are the 2 things I need. So let's go to my points, and let's ignore everything but what I need. I need the distance between E and F. Well, E to F, we need to look at what's the same. The y-coordinates are the same. Since the y-coordinates are the same, I'm going to ignore those so that I can get my distance between my x-coordinates. So my distance between my x-coordinates will be -3 minus 2.5. Doing that math, I will get a -5.5. Take the absolute value of that, and I know that my length will be 5.5. Okay? Then I want my distance between F and G. So I'm going to go to my F and my G. I'm going to ignore everything else. Just going to look at those 2 points right there. And I notice that my 2.5, my x-coordinate, and my x-coordinate over here are the same. So I'm going to ignore those. And I want the difference, the distance between the y-coordinates. So 2.5 minus a -2.5. Remember, subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding the opposite. So 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5. So my width is 5. It's exactly what I found out on the grid. But this is just doing it with the coordinate points instead of the grid. So we multiply that, 5.5 times 5, you get 27.5. Well, here's our opportunity to practice this skill again, but this time we want to find the perimeter. So, since I don't have a grid or a square, I'm going to draw one. It says rectangle ABCD has vertices, and it gives me the points, A 21, B 214, C 814, and D 81. Let me go ahead and label these sides. And let's think about what we're being asked to find. We need the perimeter. That means we need the distance all the way around. So I need this length, and I need this length, and I need this length, and I need this length. But it's not as much work as it seems. Let's start with the distance between A and B. A and B, I share an x-coordinate. So really I need the distance from 1 to 14. So 1 minus 14. That is negative 13. Absolute value of that is 13. From B to C, okay, from B to C, I share a 14. So I need the distance in the x-coordinates here from 2 to 8. So I'm going to say 2 minus 8. That's a negative 6. Absolute value is just 6. Now remember, I'm doing perimeter, not area, so I'm not going to multiply these. I need to find the rest of the sides. But really, I'm kind of done because it's a rectangle. So side AB is the same thing as DC. And side BC is the same thing as AD. So I'm done pretty much. Let's go ahead and add these up. 13 plus 6 plus 13 plus 6. You get 38 units for your perimeter. All right, I'm going to take that skill and we're going to apply it to this map now. We need to find the area and perimeter of the park. Each unit represents 1 meter. Anytime that it tells you how much a unit represents, pay attention. In this case, it's not a big deal because it's just 1 meter, but if there was 2 meters, you'd have to multiply whatever your distances were times 2. So watch out for that. We want to know the area and the perimeter. Okay, we don't have a rectangle. We have a composite shape that is made up of 2 rectangles. So you want to think of this as 2 rectangles, and we're going to find the areas of both of these. So to find the area of the smaller rectangle, we need a length and a width. Well, let's look at these points here. We share an x-coordinate in common. The y's are different. So the distance between 12 and 9, okay, would be 12 minus 9. All right, and that would just be 3. So I'm going to go ahead and label that right there. And then we have this distance here from coordinate 412 to 1112. Well, it shares a y-coordinate this time, so we need the distance between 4 and 11. That's just going to be 7. All right, so now we have this small rectangle. We have 2 side lengths, 3 and 7, so if we multiply those together, 3 times 7, that gives you 21. That's the area of this smaller rectangle. I'm going to put this on the outside. Okay, and then 21 is the area on the inside. Now we need the larger rectangle. Well, we're going to need 2 side lengths here. Well, look at this. The distance from 0, 0 to 0, 9, from 0 to 9, that's just 9. And the distance from 0, 0 to 16, 0, well, distance from 0 to 16, that's just 16. So 9 times 16 is 144. 9 times 16, 144. Those are the 2 areas. We want to add those together. 144 plus 21. Okay, 144 plus 21 is going to be 165. That's the area. 165. In this case, it's meters squared. And lastly, the perimeter. Well, perimeter, we have to go all the way around. And we have some of the side lengths, but we don't have all of the side lengths. So we need to go ahead and get all of the side lengths. I'm just going to erase these areas so that we don't get confused. Okay, we've got this side length and this side length. Oh, look at that. Opposite of this one is going to be the same thing, 9. Or you could figure it out by looking at the 9 and the 0. We've got this side length, the 3. The other side's going to be the same thing. The only sides we're missing are here and here. Okay, don't make the assumption that these are the same, okay? Because they're not opposite of one another like these are across. We need to go ahead and take this measurement. The y values are the same, and the x values go from 0 to 4, so this is going to be a 4. And over here, the y values are the same, the 9s are the same. We go from an 11 to a 16, so this one is a 5. You got to be very careful adding these up and make sure you didn't miss any. Like, walk this border, walk the perimeter. so that you can make sure that you don't miss anything. And write each number down on the way. So I've got a 9 plus a 4 plus a 3 plus a 7 plus a 3 plus a 5 plus a 9 plus a 16. Okay, and then I can combine those so that I can add them up, or however you want to do this. Look at this. This is 10. This is 8. This is 25. This is 13. Okay, you can continue to do that, or if you've got your calculator, just make sure that you don't make any mistakes entering that information. And when you add them all up, you will get 56. This is just meters because it's perimeter. And that's your answer for number 16. All right. Good luck on the test, guys. Make sure that you read your questions very carefully. Look for things that might increase the value of the units, because if this was 2 meters, my perimeter would end up being double that. Okay?